Just to remind you, the agenda we have for today is now we have tools for design and developing applications. I'm going to show you the SDKs, the tools we have, the emulators, the external tools, internal tools we have to create apps for both technologies, for Windows Phone and for Windows 8. And we have a small break here at 15:15. We are going to just spend 15 minutes to have some water or whatever. And we are going to finish the session with these two sessions, developing apps on Windows 8 and developing apps on Windows Phone. But first, you should know what are the tools that we are using to create these applications. Okay, you already have the tools, but you don't know it sometimes. So I want to show you what you can use when you are developing or designing an app in Windows Phone or in Windows 8. So first, we should cover the end-to-end process that you should follow to create an application. You know that usually when you start an application, you are first starting with the concept of the app, right? You need to just write on paper the end-user cases, all the features for your app, put this in the requirements. Second step is just to have an envisioning of that. Just create a small mock-up, just getting some paper and with a pencil, just draw there your screens and create a mock-up. The next step should be create this mock-up in a design environment. So design this with the designer views and design your application there. Once the design is finished, we should follow with the development, with the testing, with the deploying and publication part. So this is the natural process we should follow to develop an application. So, for example, when you start with, when you already have your ideas in your mind, like the features, what is this application about, and the user cases, you should create a first mock-up or design of your app. The best way to do it is just first starting with PowerPoint. Now in the PowerPoint 2012, we have one new feature called storyboarding, where you can create this sketch of your application very, very quick. And also you can export it or include this inside your development process. That's I'm going to show you later. But first, let's go to Open PowerPoint. And I want to show you what you can do with storyboarding. So this is my PowerPoint. I have here a new tab called storyboarding. And in storyboarding, you can look for the new storyboard shapes that you can find here. So you can storyboard Windows 8 apps, you can storyboard Windows Phone apps. You can create here your own story for your application. So you can go here and see, okay, I have Windows Phone devices. Okay, I have here all sketch for processes, for controls, for example, as well. So every sketch tool you need to create your first mock-up of app just in paper is here in PowerPoint. You can use also other tools like Sketchflow to create an interactive mock-up for your application. But I recommend you to use this first because we are going to include these designs in an online tool where I'm going to follow the whole process of my development. Okay? So the last step here should be just go to File, save the project, and save it to your SkyDrive. Once it's in SkyDrive, you can open this project in any of these devices. Yes, I need to log in here. Let me log in here very quick in my computer. And you can store this design in the cloud. Okay. So what I'm doing now, remember, you is just creating a storyboarding, a sketch of my application. A sketch of my application. Okay. So syncing. And loading. We are in progress with let me check the connectivity, otherwise I can just store it locally and load it again later. So this is the account I'm using now, and you can change here to your other account, to your Hotmail account, for example, and save it there. What we are going to do right now is just to save this on my desktop, and that's all. Okay, I can use it locally. So this is just PowerPoint with the storyboarding, the new storyboarding feature. So second step, once you have the sketch of your application and you have created the information architecture of all the screens you have with a description for every screen, and you have the interaction design model, how to interact with these screens and with these components, you have to create a project to start working with this project. For that, we have one tool called TFS Online. You know, the Foundation Server is a tool that Microsoft has from some years ago to now. Now this tool is online, and also this tool has several services that you can use inside your projects. Even if your project is not a Microsoft project or a Windows project, you are working with Mac, for example, or with Android applications, you can use TFS Online. What I'm going to do here is to manage the whole process or the process management for an application since the first point when you are creating the idea, following by the concept, sketching, design, development, testing, and deployment of the app. Okay, it's an ILM methodology for to do that. So I'm going to open tfs.visualstudio.com and show you what you can do there. So here, tfs.visualstudio.com, and when you enter here, you can just go here to explore the tool and see what you can do with that. You have several videos there, and you can create applications with Ellipse, with Visual Studio, command line applications, whatever you want, for Android, for Xbox. So this is not attached to one specific technology. Also, TFS Online is including an online repository where you can just upload your projects and use this to manage your code. It's free up to 5 developers. After 5 developers, you have to subscribe to the service, depending on the service you want to subscribe. Also, you have, for example, your own repository. You have GID, for example, or SVN. You can include this inside this tool as well online. I want to show you this now. So you have source control, continuous builds, test the execution, but let's go to take a look at this. So now I just log in this website. Okay, so let me can see from here. When you create when you attach your Hotmail account or your Microsoft account to this service, you should use your account there, and it creates for you a website. In my case, it's iri.29.visualstudio.com. So you can click there, and you can open your managed console there. In this managed console, you have your projects. You can create new projects. You can create a new project on the cloud, or a new project plus GIT in case you have already your repository. Or you can use this as your own repository as well in the cloud. Also, other thing you have here, you have also the beginner's guide. I recommend you just to play with that. Get your account, create your account there, and play with it to see what you can do. If you have few developers in the team, like 3, 4, 5 developers maximum, okay, in different locations around the world, you can work together with the same project just using TFS Online. If you are a big company and you are localized in different countries and you have 20 developers, in this case you need to subscribe to the next version. But it's free up to 5 developers, okay? So I can create a new project. I want to create a new team project. I want to call it my Kuwait project. The description here. I can choose different templates for the methodology that I'm going to follow to manage this project. You can use by default this, but you can add more templates as well if you want to use others. So I'm going to use in this case Microsoft Solutions Framework for Agile Software Development. This one. And for the version control, you can use by default the TFS server, or you can use GIT. I'm going to use the Team Foundation server here. So create project. Now it's creating the project online. And now from your Visual Studio, you can open this source control management and include your package there. Have your project and then work in your project, save, and also check in and check out the changes on the server, like in GIT or SVN or in TFS. But this is online, it's not inside your infrastructure, in your company. Okay, so now we have the project already created. I can just navigate to the project. And I can start creating my user story and my interactions. I'm going to start with the sprint one, and I'm going to create just a dummy new user story here. Like as a user, I want to see, I want to have an app with the Barcelona football players, okay? For example, or Real Madrid. Imagine you have your own favorite players there. Let's go to create it. Here you can attach the storyboard that you created in PowerPoint. Also from PowerPoint you can do it as well. You can go back to PowerPoint here, and in the storyboarding you can just link this with different storyboards here, okay, with different user stories. You can also attach test cases, links, information that you found in the internet to make this user case rich. And also you can see the risk you have when you want to achieve this task here. It's not normal the management of a project that you should follow with any methodology or any technology. So let's go to create this just in this way. I have a new user story here. And now that I have this user story, I can click on it, and I can create my backlog. Okay, my backlog. So I have here 636 is there. I can click in my backlog. I can see that I only have one of it. I have only this one. I can go to iteration one. Go here, and inside I'm going to add a new task. So here, let's implement a review with the okay. The developer that I want to assign this task, in this case I want to assign to myself. State the priority, you need to use the priority 1, for example, here. And you have also the chance to use to say, I want to use 10 hours for this task or 1 hour for this task, so it will control how many time are you going to spend with your code, and automatically will refresh the remaining hours you have to finish this task. In this case, I'm going to just keep this in blank and save this. And the next step is just, as I'm not now a project manager, I'm a user, so I can enter to this website as a user, like that user I have there, and I can go to my backlog and move this from new to active and start working on that. Of course, these tasks you have here are attached to your projects in code. So you need to go to Visual Studio, and in Visual Studio now, I can have one project in C#, for example, or VB, attached to these storyboards. Okay, so now I'm going to change to Visual Studio. Just keep it this in this way. I want to just explain you what you can do with this in a very, very brief session, because I have 8 topics to cover. This is one of them. But the next step should be go to Visual Studio and add this source, this online repository to my project. Here. So now I can just create a project, and after that right click and link this project with my repository online, or I just can connect with my TFS server. If you connect with your TFS server, you can find here all the projects you have already in your TFS online. Working on that, connections to projects. Okay, and you have all of these team projects and these project collections. So I'm going to follow just the normal process, that is new team project. And when you create a new team project, what's happening there? It's going to open your website with your projects there. And here you can create a project. But we already have our project, so the way to do it is find new normal project. With this start project in C# with this template. I'm going to call it Kuwait players and click OK. that I have this project here, I need to add this project to my source control. So by default, as I'm using this account in Visual Studio, it will recommend me if I want just to use this inside my Kuwait project or my very secret project or my potatoes project. I have several projects here, so I can add this to my Kuwait project. Or just right click on your project and add new source, and you can add it directly to your repository. In case another way to do it. Takes time depending on the network conditions. In this case, I'm working with the network here, it's not so good. But, well, I can just click there and click OK. And now it's just accessing to this service. You can see that something is happening here, it's still loading. Okay, and now these files are linked to my server. I link to the DFS online. So I can just right click here, and I have source control. Okay, and by now I don't have nothing there. I just have the check-in option because I didn't upload anything to the web server. I only have my project here, but let's go to do some changes. For example, I want just to do this. Okay, and add some comments here. And compile the project. Okay, so now I can just right click on my solution and select check-in. Automatically, when you start typing, you are doing checkout. Okay, and when you do check-in, yes, you are uploading the changes to the server. So now you have here another console that is this Team Explorer console, and there you can see that now I can add some comments. That's, for example, I remove, I insert some blanks and comments. Okay, and do the check-in. Okay, continue with the checking with 29 items. The first time is 29 items, but the next time you do the same, you will find only 1, 2, or 3 files to change on the server. You can have a history of every change you have, like in SVN or GID as well. And also you can merge different branches, you can compare different versions. You can, for example, schedule an automatic build every 3 days from your team, a very compiled application every 3 days to upload this to the server and have like a small sprints or very quick sprints in your development process. So now everything is checking in, it's still checking, 29 items. Also you have some tasks, work items in your backlog. You can attach this work that I have done here to a specific work item in my backlog. So with that, I can control the number of hours that I'm dedicating for every single line of code here. Okay? So, it's changed? Yes, it's changed. So now I can just continue modifying this. Okay, I can delete some comments here. I can compile the version again. And I can check in. Again, and I will obtain more changes on my server. I can see this the history of this. I can go to my solution. Okay, right click here, source control. Still there. Let's try with this one. View history of this file. Now I'm just checking the history of this file to see the changes I performed inside this file when I was developing. So now I can open this, and you can see what we did on this file. Okay, change it. I just add some things. The comments you have there. The new changes are coming to the server now. Still not refreshed. And also here you can compare this with the code you have now, or with other files you uploaded before. In different versions. So you can click here and compare. And you will find here that now I'm using the same version, so I don't have any changes in the code. Okay, but you can go to the code of your app here. So you can from here, it's very difficult to see the screen. Source control, compare. latest version. Okay, and if I have some changes on the code, I will find here red things or green things, depending on if I deleted or I added some to my project. This is only for source, for control of your project. If you have a development, if you are a development of 5 developers, you can work in the same project for different locations at the same time. After 5 developers is free, but before 5 developers and 5 developers is free, and after 5 developers, you have to pay by the service you use here. But now, let's go to the next level. I want just to create application. So the next step you should follow is design the UI of your app. To design the UI of your application, or the first design or mock-up for your application, you should use a tool called Expression Blend for Visual Studio. Well, this tool is already included with Visual Studio 2012. So you don't have to download the application as a standalone download, just it's included in Visual Studio. What you have to do is just go to your Windows 8 here and just type Expression. Okay, and you will find there Expression Blend 4. In this case, I installed another product, but you look for Expression Blend. You can find as well Expression Blend for your Visual Studio. Or another way to do it is from your Visual Studio here, you just can right click on your solution. Sorry, project, no solution, project. Here. And you have Opening Blend. Expression Blend is just like your Visual Studio, you already have the compiler inside, but it's only focused on the designer part of your application, on the designer part of the application. So now I can just run Blend for Visual Studio, and from here I can open the same project or create a new project. Modify the UI here and go to Visual Studio again, implement there my code and go back to Expression Blend again, modify the UI and go interacting between these two tools. Usually you just start with Expression Blend, finish the design, and once the design is finished you go to Visual Studio. What you can do with Expression Blend? Well, this is the first time you enter here. For you, it's like if you enter the first time in Photos, for example, in Adobe Photos. So you have several tools in every part of the screen. But let me just do a very quick example. In this case, I'm going to create a project for Windows Phone devices. But it's the same way to do it for Windows 8 because the designer tool is the same and the design code is the same. It's SAML. So once I open Expression Blend, I can see here on the middle just the designer view. This is my page, my phone application page. I can just play with the controls I have inside. Here you have the tree view. You can see your phone application page. I have a container that is a grid. I have on the top I have a stack panel with 2 blocks of text blocks. Also I have a content panel in the middle that is here, just to start grabbing and dropping your controls there. So just to make you a very quick overview about what you can do with Expression Blend. This is not only for just select one of the elements you have here and start drawing on the screen and change the color properties and things like that. Because this in the end is like Visual Studio. You have your controls here, you have your rectangles, you have your containers, you have your blocks of text, you have your buttons. Even I have this button, I can modify the color for the button as well. I can modify the border, I can modify the opacity. Okay, you can play, for example, with this as well, with some different render transformations. But this is not the most important. This is like just design with your mouse, whatever you want on the screen. But what about if you want to create something more advanced, like features that you usually use every day, like create a list of items, collections, animations, modify templates, just predefine scripts of actions, like action script in Flash, for example. So, for that, Expression Blend allows you to create very quick your first prototype or design of your application, or even the final one. If you go here to the right to the Data tab, you can create your own collection of elements. Okay, so I'm going to create one, new sample data. In this collection that I have here, I have by default 2 properties, property 1, property 2. This is a string and this is a boolean. So in the string, I'm just going to use, for example, name. price. This one? Thank you. So I'm going to add an extra property here that is going to be an image. Okay, it's going to be an image. And the image is this one. So I just can drag and drop this list here, and now I have a dummy list of 10 elements on my screen. I just can visit the layout. Okay, this is the list of elements I have with the name, prices, and images. I can just right click here and I can modify the template. And I can say this is not a stack panel. This is a grid, so first is bigger. Second, I want to change the layout for a grid. Here I have the name of my product, that is this product. I have here the price. The product is bigger as well. Edit style, apply resource, and I can go here and change the title. Okay. The chart as well is bigger, like this size, and it's here. And the price is there. And I can run an application, and I very quickly created an application that is just using a list of elements here. Okay, 10 elements. I can modify this list, and I can go to my collection, click here, okay, and modify these elements. I want 100 elements. Or I just can click here and change the text I have there. Or even better, imagine that you have an XML file and you want just to import the XML file here and create this list of elements and interact with them, clicking one element and open the details view there in another page with the details for that element you choose. So in this case, I'm not going to use just a sample data list that I have here. I'm going to create another kind of list. I'm going to import an XML file. An XML file that can be inside my application or in my computer, or that can be inside a URL in the internet. So for that, I have here an XML file for you. Okay, let me open this with Internet Explorer to show you what I have inside. Like here, for example. This is my XML file. Sorry about that, this is in Spanish, I didn't have time to change it to English, but it's very easy. It's just a collection of movies. Okay, it's called películas in Spanish. For every movie I have, this is one movie, 2 movies, 3 movies. For every movie I have the position of this movie in IMDb. I have the name of the movie, I have the GR, I have the description of the movie, I have the cover, that in this case is just another URL pointing at an image. I have the cover of the movie there. I have the punctuation, the duration, and the link, the real link on the web page for this movie. So this is my XML file. You can have your own XML files here as well. And I can import this inside my project. Okay, now I'm importing that. And if you go right again, you can see here your movies collection with all the fields or properties I have. Okay, all of them are here. I just can drag and drop this movies collection on my screen, reset the layout, and now all of them are imported as strings or single text blocks, okay, blocks of text. So I just modify this template now, right click on the grid, right click on the list, edit additional template, edit item template, edit current, and now I can play with all of this stuff. So first, change this by a grid instead of stack panel because you have more freedom to modify the UI. I want to delete just the GR, I don't need it. I don't need as well the top punctuation, the link to the page. I just only want to keep the title, the duration, the description, and also the image. If you go to this other tab you can find here, you can see what's happening under the hood. And under the hood I can see that everything that I'm doing on the screen is transformed automatically to SAML code. So I have a container that is a grid. Inside the grid I have 4 blocks of text blocks, with this text property that is binding to my collection, to different properties, and with some margins. If I modify, for example, the color, I will find there the background color as well as a property. So I'm going to modify one of these properties. In this case, the property related with the cover or the carátula. This is not a text block. I want to use there an image, just to show you that you can also as well modify Xamarin Code. Just only use your mouse or just go there and modify the Xamarin manually. You have two options. So here is image, and the property source is pointing at your cover. And here is the image. So now I can move the image here. Okay. This way, this is the title of my movie. Right click, edit style, apply the source, and just for example this one. Okay. Let's go to complete the demo. Just with the description. So we occupy this part of the screen. Go to Properties tab for the text. And here on the text, I can just use multi-line and I just can cut the sentence at the end with the ellipses or 3 dots, like to be continued. Okay, if you want to cut it there. So I can activate these properties here and here. Okay, and now you can see that I have the ellipses at the end. Okay, 2 lines for example, or 3 lines. Let's go to make 3 lines here. And finally, just the duration in minutes of the movie. I just add a new text block on the screen here. Okay, a text block. And this is duration. And move it here. Okay. So now I just can run application on my simulator, on my emulator, and I will find it. You can go to the code if you want and change this list by another list. Change the data context. It's only 1 line of code, but that's all. But this is for designers. And just to finish the demo of Expression Blend about what you can do with what you can do with Expression Blend. You have also the storyboard that is hidden here. The storyboard. You can add a new storyboard there, and you can create animations. You can just, for example, I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to draw on the screen an ellipse here. Okay, and in my storyboarding, in the second number 0, my ball is there. In the second number 1, the ball is here. And this is the animation I will find. Okay? So now what you can do this with balls, with buttons, with images, with videos, but you can go further and say, I want to modify natural behavior for this animation. So you can go here to the Objects and Timeline Preview, and you can modify the render and transform for the translate Y, okay, for the translate Y, vertical. So I can click there, I can go to the right tab in the Properties tab, and I can modify the behavior of that using, for example, this one. And now this is the behavior of your voice, okay? You can go further even and say, I want to apply some actions on this animation, on this particular item. So you can go to the Assets tab, and here you can find a list of predefined behaviors of actions that you can just drag on your screen and use that. For example, I don't have time to do this in this short period of session we have, but if you go to Codex, there is a bunch of behaviors for the physics. And with physics, you can create an Angry Birds game just only in 5 minutes, drag and drop with your mouse. I can show you a demo that I've done recently, but I can do the whole process because I need, and I have another 5 tools to show you today. But very, very quick, what you can do with this, I have, for example, the mouse drag element behavior. Mouse drag element behavior. So drag and drop here, and now this ball is drag and drop. I can go to the emulator again, okay, and I can drag and drop the ball on the screen. So if you want to create your chess game, just create a grid with 8 columns and 8 rows, okay, and drag and drop the elements there, and you can play with that. And you can detect when you are releasing the ball and where you are releasing the ball. So to create a chess game is very, very easy. But you can do more things here. You can look for the control storyboard action. And in the control storyboard action, you can manipulate your animation. So I'll drag and drop this here. Okay, and now I'm going to play this animation. Okay, and you can choose the event of the UI element you're using there that is going to raise this action. So I'm going to use the mouse left button up, that is when you are releasing the finger from your ball, and run the application again. Okay, and now when I release, okay, and this is starting the animation. But the animation is starting always in the same point of the screen. This is the origin point. I can just go to my storyboard here, click in the first keyframe, delete it, and run the application again. And now I can start the animation from there, or from here, or from here. So this is so cool if you want to create just quick animations, modify the styles, design your application as you want, just only having a bit of imagination and some models, for example. What I do is I usually go to the marketplace, to the Windows Store or Windows Phone Store, and I look for nice designs. Nice design for this control, nice design for this list, nice design for this image. And I try to create the same designs here in Expression Blend. Because to create here a design for everything is so easy. Just to finish this demo with Expression Blend, okay, I can create here a button. I can modify the template for the button. And I can say, okay, this button is not a button. Imagine that you want to create a button like in iPhone or Android. Okay? Perfect. So you can just select this button and go to the properties and modify the corner radius for this button here. Like for example 10. A bit more, maybe 20. Okay, you have a round button there. You can just select the text inside the button and move the text here. And this is your new button. And you can play with that. You can run the app, and this is your new button. Okay? You can modify this as well and say, okay, I want to modify this button when I am pushing this button. So you can go to the States tab here, to the States tab, and you can modify the press state. And say, okay, when I press this button, I want to do this button, for example, smaller, like for example, in this way, and I want to rotate it a bit. Okay, and that's all. Also, you can change the background, you can add more elements inside and play with them, and you have this button now here. Okay, very quick, very cool. And also you can go again to a base state, and you can add, let me complete this with this. Okay, for example, in this way, this is a new button. So now this is gray, and the border is white, and the border thickness is 6. No, let's make it 3. Much better. This is my button, and when I go to the press state, this color is white. Okay, and run the application again, and you have this button there. So to create a custom control is so easy. In the end, we are working with very small pieces. This is not a button. Okay, it's a button, but it's not a button. The button is made by a text that is wrapped in a border, that is wrapped in a container. So you can modify the text, the container, the border, or add more controls inside. Okay, and the best news for you is you are working here not with .NET Framework controls. You are not working with the CLR, with the virtual machine of framework. You are working directly with the runtime of the system. They are native controls and native code, because this is Windows runtime, Windows new runtime. So this is Expression Blend. It's so cool. I can spend more time on this. Sorry about that, because I need to continue with the session. Could you remind me when we should change to the next session? Because I can't remember. Is that okay? In 15 minutes, right? Well, so the next tool, by the way, if you just are curious about how to modify this in Visual Studio, right-click on your project, edit in Visual Studio, and now that you have a design, you can just implement the code in the code behind. Okay? So here you can see I have the same design I have in Expression Blend. I can click on the button, go to the properties, go to the events, look for the click event or tap event, that is much better. Right, click it there, and you have here the event handler for your button. Like next box, so Kuwait. Okay, and run the application from here, and it's the same because you're using the same compiler and the same tools. So click on the button, and here is the message. By the way, I have the Arabic configuration in the emulator. Okay, so now regarding to the Visual Studio. Visual Studio is the fourth tool you use after the design. Finish the design of your app. Maybe it will cost you 2 weeks. 1 week to have the design on paper, because you have to think about that. And 1 week just putting the design on Expression Blend and create all the styles, templates, animation, put your branding inside, use the same margins, left margins in every page, so just to customize your design. Not more than 1 week. Okay, if it's a very long application, maybe more, but it's so easy to do it. Expression Blend is to create the application very quick. It's just like a Photoshop plus Flash or Flex plus Visual Studio plus other nice features. So it's all everything together in only one package to design apps. Windows 8 apps, Windows Phone apps, Silverlight apps, WPF, and SketchFlow are the 5 templates that we are supporting there. Visual Studio. Here we are going to develop. We are developers, we are not designers anymore, so we need to develop an application. To develop an application, I'm going to just follow the same app that I started before. Okay, the football players. So let me close this. And also the simulator, I'm going to close it. I have this project here. Okay, if I run this project in my local machine, this is the default application I have. This is Visual Studio default application. I'm going to just to add to this project a list of players I have. I'm not going to use a dummy list, a data sample. I'm not going to use an XML. I'm going to use a collection of players that I created just inside a file, inside a library. I have my library with a class, player class, and a collection of elements. I just instantiate different objects for this class. So what I'm going to do is just first add this project to my solution. Right click here, add existing project. Let me look for this here. Here. Okay, I got it. Okay, continue. It's asking me if I want to add this library as well to the source control in DFS. Okay, so I'm going to add it there, yes, with players, okay, because I remember we are working online, okay, so if you are the developer I have my team, you will see these changes there. So now I have this project, I have my players library, just to show you what's inside. I have my player class, okay, with player description, player image, and player name as properties. And also I have a collection here. I only have 2 files in my project, and this collection is a collection of players. I have, put this bigger, Real Madrid players and Barcelona players. This is the class, and this is a collection, a list, an array, a collection, also a collection, dictionary, whatever you want. This list of items. And in this list of items, the player items, I'm just creating new instance here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 11 players there. So that's all. That's everything I have. And this is, by the way, this is a portable class library. I can use this on Windows 8, on Windows Phone, on Silverlight, in Xbox, or other platforms. So what I want to do is just in my Windows 8 project, I'm going to add a reference to this other project. I lost it. Right click, add reference. It's playing with me, I don't know why. So now I just add a reference to my Windows 8 project. Okay. So go to the main page, is the items page, it's here, and I want just to click on this list. Go to the properties and create a new data context. Okay, create a new data context. This data context is inside my players view model, that library I have there. It's a list of players. Click OK. Second step, as I have 2 collections, I need to choose one of these collections. So I'm going to choose here in item choose, Real Madrid players or Barcelona players. So create a binding, use this data context, And now I want to choose Barcelona players. Okay. So now suddenly something changed on the screen. I have some elements here. I have several elements, but I'm not recognizing what is inside. I need to modify the template for every element. So this is the last step, and in the last step, is just select this list, right-click, edit additional template. As you can see in Visual Studio, we are integrating some features from ExpressionBlend. Not all of them, but some features from ExpressionBlend. Right-click, edit additional template, edit item template, edit current. And now I'm going to modify the single object I have there. So the first field you have here, the first element, this is a text block. You can see this here. Text block, and image. This is a text block. I'm going to just bind the text property with my player name. And the other property I have here with the description. Text property for that text box for player description. Okay, and now I have this. So let's go to modify this a bit. Okay, this is the name, this is the description. Let me put it bigger. This is text property. So let's go to text tab here. Wrap. Okay, and it's there. And the last step is the image. The image is just click on this element, on this small square here to select the new data binding. I'm going to bind this with player image. I only need one last step to finish the demo, that is add to my resources, to my project, the players. Add new folder, players. And drop the images there, because the images are not inside the DLL. So yes, let me add the images there. They are in my desktop. Okay, here. I have all the players here, so I'm going to just drag and drop these players on my project. Like there. And run the project again. Okay, and you have your first Windows 8 application with all the Barcelona players there. If you want to go further, don't worry about that. I didn't finish yet. You can do the next. You want to complete this app? Just go to the main list here, where I am, to the main page, items page, here. And now in the list, in the grid view, just go to properties and select here can wrap items, can preorder items, and the last step should be allow drop. And run the application again. And now you can play with this. Okay, so it's already implemented in the operating system. The features you have there are the same features you have in Visual Studio with WinRT components. So just activate them and use them. Also you have transitions, and the way, for example, to load all of this information on the screen is doable as well. Let me put your last example here. If you go to Startup DG application, okay, and you enter, for example, in TVs, televisions, for example, these ones. This is a Windows 8 application. This is an animation that you can modify. Just click here or here in your properties. Or you can just compare different models. Drag this here. Drag this here. And you can see here in the bottom the specifications of every of them. And you can play with them. And you can change them here as well. So this is, most of these features are implemented only using ExpressionBlend. Having a nice design, a nice predefined access there. But if you want to go to the code, I can tell you, when you go, you have to go to the code. If you need to parse some XML files manually there, if you want to just call a web service or a web page, so there you need to call the specific APIs for that, or access to the microphone or the camera. Maybe it's 1-2 lines of code, but you have to do it. In this case, you need to go to Visual Studio and implement that. So, these for me are the best and main tools we have to develop an application. The last steps are Just using the simulators and the emulators. I'm going to show you in the next 2 sessions how to use the locations, the location simulator you have, the accelerometer simulator for Windows Phone as well, how you can simulate, for example, different network conditions when you are using GPRS, 3G, but very poor or very good network conditions as well. You can simulate the lock screen. You have simulators for all of this stuff. And for testing tools, you can use Visual Studio with the unit testing, the IntelliTrans tools as well, or for testing tools, my recommendation for you. Where is my... Let me open a Windows Phone project to show you faster what you can do. Here. For testing tools, no, I don't want the repository this time. Go to your solution. Here. You have code analysis, code metrics. You have the, for example, the Open Store test kit. Open the store test kit. Here in Win Analysis you have everything you need to publish an application on the Windows Store. Okay, so here you have the application details that you need to add. Here your screenshots, the logos, the small logo, the huge logo, that. You have some automatic tests that you can run here as well. You have some manual tests, just recommendations that you should follow before to publish an application in the Windows Store. Okay, one very example is in the emulator or in the Windows Phone device, you have to implement that. So this is a requirement that you will find here in this list. So this is a list of recommendations for you before to upload the application to the marketplace. So first, just read these ones to have an idea about what are we asking for your apps. And that's all. You don't need to go every day there. Okay, only read once is enough. So this is one testing tool, and we have also others here. This is my project. Here you have the performance analysis tool. Okay, so I can run the analysis for my application. And I can see there, if I have some memory leaks, I can see, for example, the frames per second that I'm rendering on the screen, the usage of the memory of the device in every part of the running, and the most important, the battery usage that you are going to do when you are running this application on the device. So everything is here in these tools. You can take part of this process as well. Just let me run this to finish the session. By the way, if you want to deploy application in the Windows Phone device, just connect the device in this way and select their deploying device instead of the emulator, and you can deploy the application here. So now the application is running, I can just stop the provider. Okay, it's a very short running, but that's enough to show you what you can see here. You have the startup time, the responsiveness, the data that you consume, upload it, download it, the battery charge that you have remaining using this application, the maximum reuse, but much better, you can go here and see what's happening inside. The CPU usage in every time. You can click there and see how many objects you have in your heap, which objects are in memory leak status because they lost the reference. Or for example, the responsiveness of the application. Also, battery consumption. You have as well animations, but are not here now because we don't have any. You are performing some animations with leaves, the scrolling, swiping between pages, everything is there. So please use it. Just select this and apply different features here. Sorry about that, I can't spend more time on this because this is just an introduction about what tools you can use when you are developing applications in Windows Phone or in Windows 8. Just the last step that we are going to cover in the next session is how to publish the application in the Windows Store or in the Windows Phone Store, and to be able to buy your own first Ferrari. Okay? So thank you everybody, and I'll see you in the next session. So let's go to continue with the last two sessions of the day. So I'm the name of the survey. Yeah, right. Thank you. So we are going to start with the last two sessions we have for today. That is Windows 8 developing and releasing apps, and Windows 8 developing and releasing apps. I want to show you here some of the APIs that you can use in your developments to to improve your applications with the new features you have in every platform. Okay, because there are some new features that you should know how to use them and what you can do with them. And the first one is Windows 8. So six things that developers must know about Windows Store apps. The first is that whatever you do in your code in Windows 8 application development is going to be asynchronous. So you need to change the concept of synchronous methodology of programming with asynchronous methodology of programming. Why? When we are using synchronous programming, we have only the main thread of your application where you have your UI, and if you want to run a method or just call a web service, just perform some actions, you should just freeze your UI and run this method. And when you finish this method, you can continue working with your application. But in the meantime, the application is totally frozen. So you can't play with the application. It's not a real multitask inside the application. You need to create a multi-thread experience. So when you are calling a web service, you want just to have your application running on this thread, create another secondary thread here, send by this new thread your call to the web service, and listen there for the answer from the web service, for the callback. And once you have the callback, you have the result from the action on the web service, you can just join again these two threads in memory and send this data to the main thread again. But in the meantime, you can play with your UI in the main thread because you are using two threads, two separate threads there. So this is asynchronous programming. When we are creating apps with Windows Store applications, we should know that everything is going to be asynchronous, and we should call this asynchronous method in a very easy way, just only with two new keywords or operators you have in Visual Studio. In this case, Visual Basic and C# is providing you these new keywords just to avoid you to create callbacks. Just create a secondary thread, get the callback, have the event handler for that. So here it's very, very easy to create an asynchronous call for every method you have. The first operator is the async keyword. With this, you make your method asynchronous. And the second one is await. In await, you are just going to await your method call just to finish in another thread. Okay, two operators, this one and this one. An example, this is just a method. You can remove the blue ones, the async and await, and remove as well this green, async, that you can see there. So this is a normal method with a call to a get folder from path method that is a synchronous method. So when you are using asynchronous programming, you can just use async on the definition of your method and await as the operator for this method. And only with that, this method is asynchronous. Of course, when you are using asynchronous methods, usually some of your methods acquire a suffix, or you can develop that just to have there in your screen, just to be aware that this method is going to be an asynchronous method. But it's just naming. Okay, but the important operators are async and await. I want to show you a demo. For this demo, I'm going to create a web service, and I'm going to consume this web service from a Windows 8 application. And I want to make a call in a synchronous way. So first, let's go to open Visual Studio again. And I'm going to create first the web service. So File, New, Project. Here I'm going to click in WCF. I'm going to create a WCF service application. It's a web service based in Soul. Okay, that I can host here locally, or I can host in an IS server, or in Azure, or even you can host it in Apache, or any web service you can host this service. The SOAP service. I'm going to call it my web service. And click OK. Once you develop the web service, I can right-click on the web service and publish that in a specific web server. Okay, but now I'm going to run it locally, and for that, in Visual Studio you have by default an IIS Internet Information Server, virtual Internet Information Server. You have a small virtual a small IIS Server Express to run the web service there, to try it, or you can publish it. So this is my web service. When I create a web service, I just can add more web methods here. I'm going to add a new one, public. I'm going to do a very easy demo. Imagine that this is a web service to make some mathematical operations. Okay, I'm going to create an easy one, just int add int A and int B. And here the implementation. In this case, it's going to be return a plus B. And that's all. Very easy one. But in this case, when you are using a web service, as you know, this is like a program that is running not in your computer, but in a remote computer. And when you are calling this web service, what you are doing is create an instance of this class in that web server. You can create a maximum number of instances. You can expand this depending on the web server. In this case, I'm going to create just an instance of this service one, and this is the web method I want to call, and I will wait for the answer from this method. So the next step is just to modify the contract. Here, in the other file you have, I need to add an operation contract. Operation contract. And the contract is just definition of my method. It's int okay, and that's all. Here we are. The operation contract and my method that is here. Okay. So now I just compile the project. I can run the project here in a web page. I can just go to my service and I can browse it on the Internet Explorer. Okay, and here you will find your web service. You have your web service, and also you have your contract, the WSDF document, the contract with your web service. So the next step is to go back to Visual Studio, and I'm going to create a Windows 8 application, add new project to my solution. I'm going to click on Windows Store and select a blank app, that is my calculator, and click OK. The next step you should follow here is to add a reference to this web service. So right-click on my project, in my calculator that is there, reference, add service reference. You can use a local service, as in this case, or just here type the URL where you have your web service. The web service can be here, or local host here. Now, when I'm running the service here, as you can see, this is running on my local host. I have a virtual IIS where I is running this web service. So this is the URL that I'm using locally, unless you want to publish this in a public server. So just add there the address and go. And here you will find your web service. You have your service 1 and you have your method, the add method. So let's just to use a namespace for this. I'm going to call it proxy because for me it's like a proxy. It's going to create the code behind a wrapper to maintain the connectivity, the connection with the server, to send the message, the protocol, the asynchronous operation. It's like a wrapper. So I'm going to call it proxy and I click OK. Now go to the main page. This is my Windows 8 store application, and I want just to drag and drop some elements there on the screen. I need a button here. Okay. I need to modify the text as well. You can see that you can modify the properties here in XAML, or you can modify the properties here in the properties tab. For example, 48. Okay, this is my button here, and the properties for this button is going to be add automate present. Okay. So I need only 2 text blocks. Text box. One text box here, and the other text box here. And the result of that is just a text block that is going to be there. Different size. 52. Okay, and this one and this one, the text is empty. So I'm going to just to input there a number here and here, click and get result, call the web service, send the 2 parameters and return the value of the add operation. So for that, click on the button, go to the events here, the events tab, and look for the tapped event. Okay, now you can use the typical click event, but all these controls are more focused on just tapping, because you are going to use your fingers. Okay, so you have a tap event. That is the process to tap with your finger. I recommend you to use this new event, tapped.
The same as mouse click.
Yes.
Even when someone clicks on the mouse, it will work.
Yes, you recognize that with the mouse or with your finger. So we tap this general control. Now you have here the event handler. For the event handler, first I need to create from my proxy a service client. This is my calculator. Equal new, and create an instance of that. We collapse this here. So second step, if I just use my calculator here, you can see that I have a new method. It's called add async. As I have to use asynchronous programming here automatically when I create a proxy. It's creating in the code behind for me the asynchronous operation for that. So I need to use add async. That is the new method that it creates for me. So add async here. And as you can see here, I want to use 2 parameters, and you have to await this. And to await it, you have here an example. Int x equal await add async. This is the way to use this method here. So, int result equal that. You can create this at class level if you want to use it later. Okay, at class level. This is your result. And here, let's go to start with 2 easy numbers, and we can use later the text boxes. Okay? So now something is happening. I have an error here. It's not working because I need to use first await and async. Okay, await and async. And now it's working. And now it's working. This is the result. The last step is just go to the designer view again. Click in this text block. In the text block, I need to use a name. This is my properties tab is there. Not this, not this. Here again. So 4. Okay, and now I'm going to just to create a name for this control. When you are designing by default, you don't have any name attached to this control, so you can't referentiate these controls or you put behind. The only way to do it is to use here a name. So this is TP result. Okay, and so now I can back here again to the code. TP result dot text equal result to string and run the application. Sorry, let's go to run the Windows 8 application. So as I have two projects, I'm going to choose the Windows 8 as your main starter project. Sorry, I just forgot that I changed my Windows Store account before. Let me just open my store account. Project Store. You need to register at first, at least once, to your Visual Studio when you start building apps. It will ask you to register just Visual Studio, and this expires every 90 days. So every 90 days you have to register again, and that's all. I was skipping this step. Okay. Because you know, when you are developing an app, these applications are using a certificate. This certificate usually is a local certificate or a certificate you use for your Windows Store developer account. Okay, and with that you can send the package to the Windows Store. Now it's renewed. Let's go to try again. It's working. So just get the result. I have the server offline. Let's go to run the server. Sorry. My service here. The bug startup here. Yes? No, it's the IS service is not running. Maybe I have the IS service setting down. Let me try again. Okay, now it's working. Has chance, otherwise I should continue. So the service is working. Okay. It's online. And the reference to the proxy I think is the same. Yes, it's the same reference I was using before. Perfect. And here I just calling the web service, get the result, send the method. Do you know these things when you have when you click a demo like 100 times and it's working always and suddenly it's not working? They're called the demo effect. You experiment that in the past, right? You know what I'm talking about. Okay, last chance, otherwise I will continue because I have other things to show you. Hey, but that's not the answer. No, it's not getting the result. I just skipped that step. It's not getting the result. No, it's okay. You have to do nothing else. So just run the application and that's all. And get the result, instantly. while. In this case, it's because the service is not running, and I don't know why. This is my IES Express. Let me show you. So all applications. You have your web service here. Let me stop it and play it again. Okay. So once you just run the application from here, you can test the project without installing it on an IES server. You just have these websites here, those applications. Okay, it's working. So apps. This is the web server. Okay, and it's running. Perfect. Last chance. Let me just refresh again the web service here in my code. My proxy reference. Right click here. Update service reference because maybe they changed the URL. And try again here. Int result to string. And run that again. Bad line. Sorry about that. I can trust me, right? The code is working. So this is the only way to make a call to our service using asynchronous methods. Here, if you remove the asynchronous, the awaitable here, and the async here, you will find this. That you can convert the types because you need to await that. So you need to use just here async to make this method asynchronous and await the answer for that. And that's all. Calculator.async here. 66. And here. And nothing's coming. It's not going to the next step. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to try to do the demo later at the end if I have time. Again, maybe it's not working here, the website is not working. But let's go to the next topic that I want to cover with you. That is the system contracts. With the system contracts, we can integrate our application with the system and with other applications as well. If you want to share something inside your application, for example, in this app, I have here the Contoso Cookbook app. I want to share some of these recipes with other applications. For example, with I Love Notes application. So you just go to the chart bar on the right, okay, open the search chart and look here for this application. You click there, and now it will open this page where you can see what you want to share with the recipient, with this new application. So that is what you have to configure in your apps. To configure this in your apps, the quickest way to do it is just to your Windows 8 project, click in Add New Item, and here, here you can find the shared target contract. The shared target contract. So you can create this small script that will appear here to share data from your application to another application. Just add this. Okay. And it's going to create the application for you. And you can modify the UI and you can modify the code inside. And also, it will modify the manifest of your application to say that your application is going to use the shared contract. So when you want to share something with your app, your application is going to be in that list. So here you can see now that it's created several pages for the shared contract. Let it finish. It's compiling that. And when it's finished, you will have your shared target page here. So this is the page that you can modify. Compile it. Okay. And here you can see the shared page. What you can share, and also you can add, and you can manipulate the UI on this sharing page. If you go to the properties of the project in the manifest, this is a package app manifest file here. You can modify the package graph before publish application in the Windows Store. Here you can modify the name for the application the default language that you're going to use, description. If you're going to support different orientations as well, you should click in all of them here, for example. You want the landscape and portrait. And here in the images, you should follow the images for different screen sizes, because the logo is not the same logo in this screen on a tablet PC or on a big TV. Different definition for the image. It's going to scale on this range my image. So it will choose different assets for that automatically when I take one screen size to another screen size. The white logos, the small logos, the store logos, okay, and also the background color and the foreground text. The text here is white now. You can change that text. When you open an application, the orange color is the background color in this app, or for example, the green color is the background color in this app. This is modified here inside the properties of the package. If you go to the next tab, you have capabilities. So this application is accessing to the internet. If you want to use NFC, you should enable proximity. If you want to use, for example, big maps inside your Windows 8 application, you should enable the location capability. Otherwise, the map is not going to work. And in declarations, by default, you can see that they have a new declaration here. That is the search target. Okay. And what do you want to search from this application? Text, and URI, or image, or more text. So you can specify what do you want to search. So this is by default what you obtain when you add to your project just the search target contract. You have also another contract that is the search contract. For me, these are the most important contracts we have. In the search contract, you can just go to the right of your screen with your mouse to the top right corner, and there you can open the channels bar, or just with your finger on the edge of the screen. And here you can start typing Windows, and you will obtain here some suggestions for you, or the suggestions for the Windows Store, or local applications, or files. And you can also click in one of these options here and filter this search term by apps, settings, files, or inside any application you have. You just click in Internet Explorer, you will obtain, in this case, Windows inside Internet Explorer, looking for that. You can also search, for example, for cat, and if you have one application installed on your computer, you can cat it from there, or even in a store. So this is the way to work with Windows. Yes, I'm here, or here, in any of these pages, I open the search jar, and I start typing here. Like, for example, jet. I don't have anything with jet, but I can look in the store, and it's going to look for jet. Okay, and you have some applications and games here that you can download. The internet is not working so very, very well. Maybe it's because, why? Because the browser is not working. I'm going to try later with another Wi-Fi, because this is something better now. Okay, so this is the search chart. If you go to your application, right-click, add new item. You can add a search contract. Okay, a search contract. And here, the page with the result of the search inside your application is the page you have there. You can modify that at this time. In the code, you should specify with link you sentences and that you are going to search with this search there inside the collection of elements you have inside your app. By default, when you create this, you have some helpers inside that you can reuse to just search inside your app. This is the page. Inside, you have the code, the filters, and the query text that you are going to use. Okay, and here you can just write your own link you sentences, your own link you queries to search inside your application. And the look and feel for this app. What is that? Is this one? Yeah. It's just the app name, results for. Here you will obtain the results for the search term that you pass to this application. And here a list, a grid view or list view or whatever with all the elements in the result of this search. So these are the steps you should follow to add that. But let me show you more things because we didn't finish yet. You have the semantic zoom at different screen sizes. Regarding to the screen sizes, I told you before that the application is going to be adapted to different screen sizes and different screen resolutions. It means that if you run your application in a 10 inches TV, like for example, at THC tablet PC, you will obtain this experience on your screen. 2 rows of elements, and several columns. 10 inches with that resolution. This is 11.6 inches, this is 13 inches, this is 20, this is 27. So depending on the screen size, the application will redistribute the elements inside with different configuration. Okay, but you only have to design the application once. For this specific example, I'm using here a control called grid view, where you can just use your collection of elements, just use this collection in the grid view, and the natural distribution you will find is this distribution. Also, for example, here you are using a grid view, but the layout of this grid view can be modified. Like for example, this element is occupying 2 columns and 1 row, and this other one as well. So you can specify inside the grid view that you want this distribution, or even better, if you go to the Windows Store, you can see that I'm using also a grid view control, but with different distribution of the elements, and expanding the elements to different columns and rows, like this element. You can create this just with the grid, specifying the numbers of rows and columns that you want to use for every item there. Continuing with this, you have also the semantic zoom. The semantic zoom is this experience you have here. Zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Okay. This is the semantic zoom experience. You can go to one of the applications. I like this application because also it's a local app. It wasn't working this morning, let's see if it's working now. We will contact the developer to tell them that today the server is down. Let's go for this one, Bing Daily. You have news. You can go to headlines, zoom in, zoom out, go to work, zoom in, zoom out, go to top story. And as you can see, this is a very long application. Okay, it's still loading the information, so this is a caged information. And you do the zoom in, zoom out, you can go to different sections of your application. Okay, I'm going to change the Wi-Fi, by the way. It looks like this is a very slow Wi-Fi, right? It's loading the images yet. So, in semantic zoom experience, you have a list of elements, a collection of elements separated in different groups. Like for example, fresh food, veggies, like in a grocery. You can zoom out on the screen and you can find this experience. Fresh fruit, veggies, organic nuts. So if you try to do one thing like, for example, have a collection of books and you want to represent the semantic zoom out in a different way, you can do the next. You can just play with this, and depending on the number of books you have, you can these rectangles bigger or smaller. In the end, the semantic zoom control is just a control that you can drag and drop on your design, and you have 2 containers, one for the semantic zoom in and the other one for the semantic zoom out. And you draw whatever you want inside. In the semantic zoom in, you just use there your grid view with your collections. And the semantic zoom out, I can use, for example, 5 rectangles. And just in my code, I can just bind the height of these rectangles depending on the number of elements I have in every collection. And when you just use the control key and your mouse wheel, you can zoom in and zoom out on your screen. Okay? Or just with your fingers pinching on the screen. You pinch on the screen, you can zoom in and zoom out. Another example, here I have some toast, notifications, photos, messages, birthdays, and I can zoom in, and I can zoom out. Okay? If you look inside the applications you have here on Windows 8, by default you have this experience in some of them. By default, this is the semantic zoom experience. If you want to look at all the applications I have, this is semantic zoom experience, semantic zoom in, semantic zoom out. I can be here, I can be here, I can be here, okay, in and out. Because when you have a very long list of elements here, you want to go directly to a specific point of the list. For that, we have the semantic zoom. Well, the location. The location is a very important matter to touch as developer, okay? Because you want to not only to have a map with your position there. You want to have your application location aware. It means that if I just open for example, the weather application here, I want to get the location of United Arab Emirates, or I can configure this application to get the local weather I have, just getting my location. So for that, when I open this by the first time, you can choose, you only obtain always your location every time you enter in the app, yes or not. And with that, you get the location there. Okay, this is another kind of panoramic application. This is the nice weather you have here, example. With location, you can have all of these scenarios. Like for example, geotag your photos or the content inside your application, just taking a snapshot of your location in one instant or in one specific second, like right now, or continuously all the time tracking your location. You can also use big maps to track yourself in the map, and you can also use these inside your applications to locate or localize the content. You can use as well the controls for navigation, for virtual tour guides, and the most important, when you're using location, you can use this indoors, not only outdoors. The geolocation services on Windows 1 and Windows 8 are using not only GPS, are using also as well the cellular network and the Wi-Fi network you have to locate yourself inside buildings or outside buildings. Or even if you are driving, you can get a geolocation from GPS. Okay, and you go through a tunnel, so there you are not losing your location, because you are using, in this case, cellular network to locate yourself inside. So the driver that you have there is providing you the information you need for the location, the land and lot, and the speed, and the altitude, things like that. But you don't need to control which technology you want to use. This driver automatically is getting the best accuracy position for you, trying to reach different technologies. Okay, depending if you have coverage or not. Let me put you an example. This is the way to create a geolocator object on Windows 8. So you create a geolocator, and with that, with the geoposition method, you can get your position on the screen. That's all. This is the only code you need to get your position in every moment. Just create a geolocator object and use the get geoposition async method. Again, this is awaitable because every method that you have for Windows 8 has to be awaitable or has to be asynchronous. The bitmaps. The way to use bitmaps is first download the bitmaps SDK, and also download the API key you need to use the bitmaps control. It means that you should go to the bitmap portal. Inside bitmaps portal, you can just log in with your account. It's a free service, but you need to log in there and subscribe yourself. Like, I want to use bitmap services. So it will provide you an ID. This ID, this key, is the key you need to activate the map inside your code. Why? Because after this process, go to the portal, activate your account, and get the key for your map. And after you download the bitmaps SDK, is that one, you can start using the bitmap controls. But if you use the bitmap controls there, you will obtain a watermark on the screen. You should activate this with your app ID key to remove the watermark from there. So inside this control, you have a property where you can paste there that key, and the watermark disappear. The watermark disappear. That's the way to do it.
There's no Nokia Maps?
Nokia Maps is only for Windows Phone devices. I'm going to show you the access. It's only for Windows 8. Windows 8 is using bitmaps, and Windows Phone is using Nokia Maps. Different. Okay, because Nokia Maps was created originally for mobile devices. So we talked with Nokia, and they agreed with giving us the Nokia Maps control for Windows Phone devices. But for that, we were using the same bitmaps control that we were using before. Okay. And you know why? Well, there are several reasons, but the main reason in Windows Phone devices, you can use Nokia Maps, and it's an offline map. If you are using here bitmaps, it's an online map, not offline map. You need internet connection. Let's see. This is the additional line sensor. These are the sensors that you can manage as developer for your code. And also you can use the sensor fusion API to manage all of them at the same time to create, for example, augmented reality experiences. This is a very nice one, but my recommendation for you is to start with something easy, like use the accelerometer. It's only 2 lines of code. It's just create the accelerometer sensor object and just get the X, Y, and Z values from there every time you move that, and that's all. Okay, so easy, but start doing that. That is first step, and after that, improve that. Also with the gyro, okay, to zoom the instant forces that you are using with the device for different size, and the compass to look where the earth is, for example, and to move the map or move the contours. Start with the easy ones, and after that you can merge all together, and also open the viewport of the camera and play with that to have, in this case, augmented reality experiences. To complete this, then you need media. In the media library, you can capture a picture, you can capture video and audio. It means that you don't only have to capture that and record it in your application. You can play with that in real time. You can access the viewport of the camera and play with the video, apply filters on there, pixel by pixel if you want. Okay, and the same with the picture and the same with the audio. In the audio, we can play with audio. You can play with the wave you have in the audio. You can mix two of them, like a DJ. You can also control the balance, the 3D. You can do whatever you want with these APIs. You can also use the Play to API to play this song or this video to the Xbox or to the TV or to other device from your application. You can control your playlists or apply some video effects. The code is so easy. I don't know if I have here a demo of the code. Yeah, this one. This is a complete application, okay? It's just you open the camera capture UI object, get a photo or to get a video. You just have to change this value here, and again it's available, and after that now it's yours. So the second step is where do you want to show that? I want to show that in an image control on my screen, or store that in your, this is the second step. This is the way to just open a binary file and use a bitmap image to load it inside, and just set up this bitmap image inside the image control in my UI. This is a very complete example, but you can skip this and only have this and that's all. Okay. And to finish this session, the publication process. The process of policy and application on Windows Store is the next. First, go to your app here. I'm going to change, by the way, the Wi-Fi. Check if this application is working now. Okay. So now that you have this application, you should right-click on your project and go to the store. And here you can capture some spaces for your app. You can associate your application with the store, or the last step, and this is the most important for you, is create an app package. When you're going to create an app package, you can create the app package for the Windows Store or locally. Imagine you want just this package to test the package in other computer. Okay, install this on a Microsoft Surface tablet. You can create the package, copy the package on a USB stick, use this USB stick in the other computer, and install the application there. You can do that, but there is one requirement that I want to show you now. That is, you need a developer account for that. If you need a developer account, when you install the package, it will ask you to log in with your account there, and that's all. You can install the package. I have hundreds of packages installed here on my computer. Also, you have Visual Studio installed here. You can deploy your applications locally. If you go to my start screen, you can see how many demos I created this week. All of these demos. Okay. And you can just create a package and use a USB stick and install the package in your computer or in a tablet PC. I'm going to create a package locally. I'm not going to publish this on the Windows Store. So next step here. The next step is to create the package for all the platforms or for a specific platform. If you want to use, for example, the Microsoft Surface tablet PC that is using ARM, the WinRT version is ARM processors. You should compile this ARM version here. This is the package for ARM. or Intel, Windows 8 Pro, Windows 8, Windows 8 Enterprise using Intel, you can use this. So let's go to just select neutral and click on create. Now it's creating the package, and if I open the package here, you can see that I have the package inside this folder. This is the package you have. This is your package. Okay. And to install this in other computer or in this computer is just right-clicking in the PowerShell script. Right-click, run with PowerShell. You will find this message. Do you want to install this? Yes, of course. So click enter there. Then you will see. Okay. And if you want to install the certificate that you want to use for this application to enable the application, deployment. And it's installed. Okay, so this is the process to install manually an application on a computer. So here at the end, I have there my application now installed there. Okay, to uninstall an application is just right-click, uninstall, and that's it. For any application you have here, for example, I can uninstall this, and it's uninstall. I can install, for example, this one, and it's uninstall. This is an easy process to install applications here. So once you finish this, you should go to one website called dev.windows.com. Okay, dev.windows.com. This is the main website for Windows Store developers. As I told you in previous sessions, here we have your dashboard where you can upload applications to the Windows Store. You have all the documentation possible for Windows Store is there, for Windows Store apps, how to create, develop, design, and test applications is there. You have several samples that you can reuse. You can see your downloads, the community supporting MSDN for your technical questions as well. And here, in the Windows Store app samples, you can see that you have samples for how to open the camera and take a picture, how to use the Bluetooth, how to use access to databases. So just go there, select your favorite language, select the technology, select the topic, and you will find a sample there with the source code. If you can find here help, and if you can find here a control of applications you're looking for, you can go to Codeplex, codeplex.com. That is it's an open source community supported by Microsoft. And here in Codeplex you can find that project. Okay. For example, the calendar control. We don't have the calendar control, but we have a member in my Facebook community, a guy from Dubai, that created a calendar control and it's free. And you can find this control in Codeplex and you can use that in your projects. You have also as well Callisto controls here. Callisto controls. Callisto controls are for Windows 8. I think these are the Callisto controls, not this one. Callisto. Windows. There are several versions of that. This is one. Windows RT SAML Toolkit. The toolkit for some applications, but if you don't want to look inside Codeplex, what you can do as well is go to Visual Studio and to enhance your applications, just right-click on your project and choose Manage Nugget Packages. And from here you can install packages from Codeplex and other communities as well. Packages approved by communities. And here you can look for Callisto. Is there. A control suite for some common things on Windows 8. Okay? If you want to look for something special for Windows Phone, like for example SQLite, you can find here the providers and the toolkits for SQLite. Or for example the Windows Phone toolkit that also is there. Or as your toolkit. So just go here and look for the specific controls or toolkit you need to complete your application. Don't try to create the same thing twice. Okay, look first here. The last step should be just go to your dashboard There are some libraries that are frameworks, or there are toolkits with control that you can just import in your toolbox, or just sometimes are wizards, depending on the toolkit and the framework. So just let me sign in on my account here. Okay, I'm in. So it's very intuitive, right? Your application here, drag your application there, submit your application. And when you are submitting your application, you should follow some steps. Application name, let's say details, you can specify the price per country. If you want to publish the application in every country, only in some of them. If you want to publish the application in the international market or only locally, you can also use push notification services inside your app or not, or define the in-app purchasing offers that you want to promote inside your application. If you want something, if you have something for the content policy, you need to specify that as well there. And after this process, the packaging and whatever, this is going to be in the publication process. In the publication process, they are going to validate your application, to analyze the performance of the application, the content policy of the app. And after that, they will publish your application. Signing this application with a certificate, okay? With a security certificate. And with that, the application is published on the Windows Store. You can delay the publication there. You can just publish the application automatically when the process finishes. Usually it takes 48 hours, but can be delayed until up to 5 days. Because this is a manual process. There are real people before that testing your applications, and they are going to send you back a feedback form if the application is denied. Because, hey, your application has like 10 things that you should follow before you have the application in the Windows Store. Okay. Usually you have must fixes and should fixes. Should fixes is the application is okay, but you should fix this, and that to have a very nice experience or a better experience. And must fix is, if you don't fix this, you can't publish your application. If you try to do something bad with your app, with your code, they are going to know that. Okay? So this is the normal process you should follow, and it's very similar on Windows Phone. I want to show you more things about the publication process now. Okay, this is the submitting process. This is the analytics you have. In the analytics, you can see where this application was downloaded, okay, when was downloaded. You also have a report of all the crashes that your application had. My application, I was just using now, for example, Golf News. Today, the server that they have maybe is under maintenance, so it's still loading, but after 10 seconds, the application is closed. So I will receive this, I will use. I will receive a feedback report with all the crashes in an Excel sheet, and there you can see which operating system, what day, and the Stack Overflow for the error, and there I can follow why this application crashed in that computer. Okay, and in Windows Phone it's the same. So you have a very, very great analytics here to analyze per country, per day, the number of downloads, everything you need here. If you want to implement your own analytics, do it. Maybe you have Google Analytics. You can install Google Analytics inside your application and use that. Some people are using that, for example, in Windows Phone 7 devices, in applications. But now that you have all the analytics here, yes, very easy, just satisfying all your needs. So the analytics are quite good in Windows 8. This just the last slide I had for you today is the site loading on Windows 8. Because several people is asking me how can I deploy the application without going through Windows Store. I want to deploy the application locally for my 1,000 machines or my 5 developers I have here. So depending on the version that you are using, you can use sideload or not. By default, is go to Windows Store, deploy there, and download the application. But if you want to just use the application, I just put it here. Okay, the Windows Server app, the web server app. You first need to see in the screen that Windows 8 is not allowing this unless you just create an application with Visual Studio and deploy the application there. But if you're using Windows 8 RT, a tablet PC with Microsoft Surface RT, WinRT, I just can copy this a USB stick, do this on the Windows RT device, and I can install the application there. But for that, on sideload, okay, I need to activate the sideloading root key, or I can use my developer license to install it there. Okay. In Windows 8 Pro, the same with my developer license, or in Windows 8 Enterprise, but if I want to distribute the application for 100 computers, and I want to install the application there without any problem, I should ask for a side-loading product key. You can obtain this product key where you obtain the license for Windows 8. You can ask for that, and they can publish to you this key, and with that you can distribute applications. But by now, this is the most important to know where you can deploy your applications without going through the Windows Store. Okay? And this is the way to do it. Yes, let me finish this very quick because we need to jump to the next session. The store, the Windows 8 store. Now we have more than 200 markets where you can publish your application, more than 100 languages supported officially on Windows 8 for your apps. You have free, paid in-app purchasing and trials. And the trials are very good. I'm able to show you that demo now. You have also the third-party in-app purchasing and advertising support. There is no need to use the Microsoft advertising. You can use your own advertising there as well. Here, the next slide. After $25,000 of revenue, you will get the 80% of the revenue for every sale. And before that, you will obtain the 70% for every sale. Okay? The other 30% goes to to Microsoft, the publication process, because we have to pay there the tester that we have, and also the certification authorities. And also, every month they are going to reimburse you your savings here. All of the money you won that month is going to be transferred to your bank account with an international bank transfer. So this is the 30% we have here, and 80% here after 25,000. For the enterprise, is $99 every year to renew your license, and $49 if you are a user. If you are a student, you have the Windows Phone and Windows 8 developer accounts for free. You have an MSDN subscription with Microsoft as partner with other partners. If you also have a developer account there for free. If you are in the Business Park program, you have an account for free. I think there are another program now, but I can't remember, so only focus on these three. If you are not in any of these programs, you have to pay annually $49 or $99 to maintain your application in the Windows Store.
Applications, I actually do want to be a price, have licensing or.
There is no issue licensing there. You just call the application on the Windows Store and install the Windows Store. You need to use application with your own licenses inside your core, your organization. Just do it locally without going through the Windows Store. But by default, I don't know what kind of license you're talking about. Maybe Dynamics licensing or.
One my application source, I can read it and you have organization. I can develop my own application at one.
By using the Visual Studio's license for the company, can I develop application and as an individual developer license?
You have a Visual Studio Express Edition that is included with the SDK, and it's totally free, and you can publish applications with that in the Windows Store. You have also the premium version and ultimate version, depending on your needs. If you are a very small team, 2 developers, with the Express is enough. You are maybe 20 developers, you need something better because you need to deploy this on a very good environment with testing, with database management, integrated and processing, with unit testing, automatic testing, builds. So depending on your needs, you can use that with Express, Premium, and Ultimate. Okay, but with Express you can publish versions, Windows 8 applications as well. And Express Embedded is included there as well. This is the pricing you can use for this is the lower and the upper price. And just to finish this, sorry about the hurry, but we need to go to the next version. The trials. Trials are so important. If you find an application in the Windows Store and this application hasn't got any trial, nobody is going to download that application. I can tell you, because we have the figures of that. Nobody is going to download an application that costs $10 if you don't have a trial first. Because this is, believe it or not, this is just a digital device. You want to pay for something that you can have in your hand. You don't design your computer. For example, for games, it's the same. If you have the game, the $55, you can have the game here and play with that. It's so expensive. But you can buy the game here in the internet for $10, $5, $7, but you're not going to spend more for something. That is something cultural, right? So here is that it's demonstrated that if you just have the trial in your application, the trial, you can just increase your numbers from that. 70 more downloads than if you don't have the trial. For the trial, you can use time limit or feature limit. With time limit is just during the publication process, you can go there and see my application is $8 price, and I want to use 1 day, 7 days, 14 days, or 30 days trial. And after this trial, the application is closed. Okay, you can continue working with this application because it's attached to a certificate, and the certificate expires, and once the certificate expires, you can use this application anymore. If you want to attach this to your code, just license information is trial. If it's trial, then do this, otherwise do that. So you can, in your code, specify if you want to enable or disable some parts of the app, just asking if the application is trial or not. But it's only one package that you upload there and you activate in the publication process if you want to enable trial or not. Okay? And last but not least, Microsoft Advertising. Use Microsoft Advertising SDK. Here you have the URL where you can just register yourself to get revenue from your Microsoft Advertising. You have a Microsoft Ad content. You can just have it on your screen and use your ID key that you can obtain there to activate this advertising, or you can use your own advertising. So in the end, I repeat, this is a very good opportunity for you. Look at these figures. Android is good, iOS is good, Mac is good, but Windows 7 users is so good. So we have almost 700 million people using Windows 7. Already 60 million of them are using Windows 8. And the forecast we have for this year, the forecast not for Microsoft, for IDC, is 420 million people using Windows 8. So by then this year, yes. This is the forecast that we have. I'm very happy with it to have 400 million for this year. Let's wait for December. Okay, but in the end, you can think of that. Everybody is using Windows XP or Windows 7 or Windows Vista. Okay, in most of these countries. And most of them are going to migrate to Windows 8. New devices are coming, all of them to Windows 8, and also tablet PCs. That is the most important. And the forecast is that you're going to have more tablet PCs than laptop PCs in the next 5 years. The numbers is what we have everywhere, not only for Microsoft. So this is a very good opportunity for you. I repeat, Arabic is so important in this region. We don't have applications in Arabic, so it's a very good opportunity for you to position yourself in the top of the Windows system. Okay, so again, here are some of the resources I want to share with you. But now, let's go to finish this day with the most exciting section for me, that is the Windows Phone session. Why? First, because I love Windows Phone 12. I consider that is, for me, the best operating system we have in mobile devices. Mobile devices, ever.
Which method is more suggested or more profitable? Selling it free or with advertisement? Selling it free with advertisement or selling it for?
Here you have the question. If you want to pay for an application that you are going to use only 5 minutes a day, or maybe once a week or once a month, you want to use an application for restaurants. Okay, very good application, very nice application for restaurants. But you are going to go to have dinner just once a week or once a month. Do you want to pay for an application that you want to use only once a month? You're not going to pay for that. If you're going to create an application that you're going to use every day, for example, your newspaper, you love to read at least 30 minutes every morning in your bed before you go to work, just the news on your phone. 30 minutes every day. Maybe you can think, hey, it deserves to pay $2 for this application or $4 for this application because I know that I'm going to use this every day. So here you have to think if you want to publish the application free with advertising or you want to publish the application with paying for that. There it deserves to pay for that. Okay? Games, for example. I'm traveling. I have 25 travels between February and March. So now I can go here and I can play to this very addictive application that is also in other platforms. Or you can go to this application. In this case, it's free. But this application is not free. I could pay maybe $5 for this application. Why not? Because I'm spending maybe, don't know, 2 hours or 3 hours every 3 days. So I'm playing with that everywhere. And I like it. So you will pay for that. But for an application that is only to use once or twice, I have here IMDb application for movies. Very nice application. It's amazing, this application. But I usually only use this application once. When I go to the cinema, once a month. I don't need to pay for that. Advertising, very good revenue. Okay, very good revenue. It counts the number of printings on the screen and also the time that you are using this with the application open. It's a very complex algorithm. You have the algorithm published in the internet, you can look for it. But think on the model. And don't go above $4 for Windows Phone or above $7 for Windows 10. Nobody is going to pay for that. So the last session, and for me the most beautiful session, is Windows Phone 8. Okay, Windows Phone 8. Why? Because you are using your phone every hour during the day. Every hour. But you are using your tablet PC sometimes, not all the day. Okay? And the same with the laptop. But your phone, everybody is using the phone, everywhere. And here, that's why it's so exciting. You can create experiences that can improve that experience when you have to just wait in the queue, or go to the metro, or just go in the elevator, or just listen to your boss. Okay, so you want to improve this experience. And for that, first is the tiles you have on Windows Phone. You have 3 tile sizes. Let me show you here. Okay, the small one, normal one, and the large one. You can modify the content of these tiles from your code, from background agents running on the system outside your application, even if the application is closed, or from push notification. You have a push notification service that is free as well, and you can request this push notification service to send notifications to all the devices that are using your application. Okay, and update these tiles, or just send those notifications like an SMS, incoming SMS on your phone, or just that you just can modify the content of one application when the application is running with raw notifications. This is the push notification service. Okay, and you can do that in every application you have and with no cost. So this is the push notification, the live tiles. You have different templates for that as well. You have the front and the back of the tile. Can flip on the screen. You can modify the text, you can modify also the title and the image of the background. You can also use the cycle, that is this one, with 9 images and cycle the images all the time. You remember when I showed you the emulator here, the Windows Phone emulator? Okay, look at that. I have some animations. For example, this is an animation. Okay. I can enter here, this is another animation, let's go back again. I can modify this, for example, smaller, okay, and also I have another animation here. So these animations are inside the system. And the same with these animations, with the live tiles. And if you go to Xbox, you will find the same experience there as well. So what you can do with tiles as well, you can create secondary tiles. So you have one tile for your application, but imagine it is a news application with different sections, with sport, entertainment, and technology. So you can enter inside that. just hold your finger there and pin this section, the sport section, to the start screen. And you will find in the start screen two tiles, the main tile and the secondary tile. And with the secondary tile, you can click there and open the app and go directly to that section on your application. This saves you time when you want to enter in some parts of the app. If you are curious about the code, don't worry about that. I'm going to share the slides with you. They are going to be published in the website. But this is just how to do it in your code. It's not complex, it's a large process. Just create a new flick tile data and fill all the properties. The title, background image, small background image, back title, back content, background image, and the same for the white tiles. If you want to expand this to be a large tile. And last thing you should do here is to create a tile, a secondary live tile, inside your system. Use the cell tile API, specifying the page that you want to open when you click in that live tile. And here, the last parameter is if you want to open this application, passing some parameters in that process. Okay, you can open the application with some parameters. And that's all. Okay, some limitations, like for example, the image size should be maximum 150 kilobytes. You can change that automatically one time every hour, every day, every week, or every month. You can specify that as well. Okay, this is just an example about how you can just modify the tile from a background settings. Okay, from a background agent. The background agent, just every hour is going to modify the image that you have in that live tile. The image comes, in this case, from a URL in the internet, not from your local repository, from your local application. So this is quite good because you can update application with information in a web server, for example. The lock screen. You can find in the lock screen two new things on Windows Phone. First is the image you can see on the background. This is the background image provider. From inside your application, you can change the background you have in the lock screen. Imagine Facebook application for Windows Phone, but for a moment. You can just choose Facebook as a background provider, and when you lock your phone, you will find there the latest image that were published in Facebook, in your wall, for example. Take care with that, depending on your friends, can be dangerous. But in this case, you can use just an image from your picture library or from Bing by default, the image of the day for Bing. And here on the bottom, you can see this number 2. This is the notifications you have pending on your phone. This is for phone calls, but you can use your applications there as well. Here, if you go to your settings lock screen section, you can click here on the bottom and choose up to 5 maximum icons or applications to send notifications to the lock screen. Okay, like these ones, for example, here. And the lock screen background in the same setting space, the same here. Click there, select the background provider, and your background will change on your Windows Phone. A very quick demo of this. I will do a very quick demo. Okay, so running the connector. This is you have the Contoso Cookbook app for Windows 8 and for Windows Phone, and you have a virtual training kit that you can follow laboratory, step by step through the process of creating this application. With the Word document, step by step, with the solution and the starter. This is the middle of the laboratory. It's not complete application, but it's enough for the demo. I just can pin this here. I have Italian. Okay, I can go back to my app. I can go, for example, for friends visit and pin it here, and it's there. And the application is installed here. Contoso Cookbook. Okay, and also you can modify the tiles depending on what did you do on the code. You can have different tiles and different images. So now I can go to settings. And in settings, I go to the lock screen. Click here, choose Contoso Cookbook because it's installed on my device. It recognizes that Contoso Cookbook is a notification provider. And the last step is to lock my screen. For that purpose, I need to go to Visual Studio, and here you will find this icon. Also, it's somewhere in the menus, but I know it is there. This is your simulation dashboard. In the simulation dashboard, you can simulate different conditions for your network. This is quite good to simulate, for example, when you are trying to fetch data from an Excel file and access speed or things like that. And you can lock the screen. Now the screen is locked, and you can see there they have 6 new notifications for the Contoso Cookbook app. Okay, this is an example about how it works. Also, if you want to change the background provider, you can just go here, settings again, lock screen, choose background. I can choose Contoso Cookbook, or you want to do something beautiful. You can choose the pink image of the day, and it will change that image on the screen. Okay? On the bottom B, you can choose maximum 5. Maximum 5, yes. You can add more. Not only 5 maximum, but here, as you can see, in lock screen, I can click here and choose games, and I can click here and choose messaging, and that's all. I can add another one. Okay, that's the thing. Well, maps and locations. For me, this is the best thing we have in Windows Phone, except the speech API. In the maps and locations, you can locate yourself in every moment, just tapping a button and getting your location. Instant, it's like a snapshot of your location, or just all the time with the background services as well. For that, you first, as Windows 8, you should activate these capabilities on the Windows Phone 8 devices. If you want to use, for example, location and the map, activate location and map. Okay? Why? Because when you publish the application on the Windows Store or the Windows Phone Store, the user that is going to install this application will see there which capability this application is using. So imagine that you download the tic-tac-toe game, and suddenly you see that the tic-tac-toe game is using Wi-Fi, networking, location, internet, even the user ESP camera. So it's suspicious, right? That this application is using that. So you can imagine that this application is going, for example, to track your location, is going to access to the internet, and it's not going to be bad, because they are going to see what's happening there in the communication process. But it's going to cause you data usage when you are using the application. Maybe you don't know. So that's why it's so important to identify these capabilities here when we're going to publish the application. This is the location sources. GPS, Wi-Fi, and cellular network. Depending on which one you are using, you will save more or less battery life, and the accuracy will be better. GPS always is better instead of in terms of accuracy, and also you can get GPS in less than 2 seconds. It's quite good, but it's going to spend a lot of battery life when you are using that. Okay, you can access directly to GPS sent towards a Wi-Fi, but you can change the accuracy. In the accuracy, you can say if I want to use high accuracy or default accuracy to optimize your hardware. So it will start just trying to reach, for example, Wi-Fi, cellular network, and if you can find nothing there, it will try with GPS. Okay, so it's trying to maintain a balance between these different technologies. And also you can modify the desired accuracy in meters. Okay, just to be listening all the time to your GPS. Here an example. Geolocator object, geoposition object is the same as in Windows 8, it's the same API. You can copy and paste the code, and it's working. And now that you have your geoposition, with get geoposition as in, you just get this on a text code and that's all. Okay, so it's a very easy one. I'm going to just create a demo now. You have the emulator, and in the emulator you can simulate different locations. Let's go to see this with an Apple, right? Because it's much better for you. But I'm going to create an application from scratch. So, file new project for Windows Phone devices, Windows Phone app. You can choose different templates. Okay, if you don't want to start from scratch, you can use panoramic views, pivot views. Also, you have audio streaming agents for playing music on the background when your application is closed, or XNA and DirectX for games. So you have plenty of options here. Let's go to start with page, single page for Windows Phone 8. Well, and here is the dilemma. I should start my application with a map inside here, or I don't really need the map. This is the first question. If you need the map, you can go here and look for map and drag and drop. Okay, and your map will be here. Okay, and also I need a button here on my screen. So here you have your map. Second, if you are going to use a map, right click on your project properties. Oh, sorry, it's not here. This is Windows Phone. Go to properties in your project and choose your manifest file, WM app manifest.xml. And here you can find as well the name of the app, like in Windows 8. This the navigation page where you're going to go once you're in the app, the application icon, the supporting resolutions, by default all of them because it's slightly by hardware, and the tiles images, so important. Capabilities, I need here, I don't need media playback, I don't need audio, I don't need sensors, software. I need only map and location. Okay? The requirements, if the application is going to use any of these requirements. Why? Because if your application is using, for example, the magnetometer, the compass, maybe you don't want a user to download this application if he doesn't have a compass, because the application is useless for him. You can filter that. When he tries to download the application and install it, it's going to say, hey, this application can be run on this device because it's using a compass and you don't have the compass. Okay? So these are the requirements and packaging, versions, languages, etc. So run the app just to see if it's working perfectly. Okay, I have the map, I don't have nothing there. Let's go to just click on that button and get allocation. Get allocation. So main page here, right click, go to code, view code. Okay, this is all the code you have. All the code you have. So, sorry, but I'm very lazy. I don't want to type 2 lines of code. Just go here, copy the code. Okay, it's working here. Okay, so the geolocator is there, the geo position is there, and this is useless, and that's all. This is the only thing I need to get my position. Okay, geolocator is inside resolve this namespace. Okay, this namespace. Now, as you can see, this is using await, so I should use this on a method that is using the async operator. Just to do this in a very good way, just go to the button, go to properties, go to the event, and select that. And here, yes, copy the code there, paste it there, and use async, and that's all. And now I get in my location here, in geo position, okay? And here I have my coordinates, and inside the coordinates I have all of this stuff available there. Okay. Now I use this in the map, and that's all. But you have to think, I told you before, you really need the map in your application, or you just need to show a map from one specific element in your application. There is where you have to think on the tasks, on the launchers. Okay? Because instead to use the map, Why don't you use a launcher? A launcher that are inside Microsoft.form.tasks. Here, you have a long list of launchers. You can launch from here the bitmap tasks, the address results, the camera capture tasks. You go further, you can see as well the email composer task, the game invite task, the map downloader task, the map task. So if I use, for example, the maps task, my map equal new here, I can say my map dot center equal. So what I have to use here in center, as you can see, this is using a geo-coordinate object. So center is a new geo-coordinate, and there I can use land and lot. So let's go to get the geo-position, okay? Geo-position dot coordinate dot latitude and longitude, okay? Coordinate longitude here, and that's all. And the last step, my map dot show and run the application. So I click the button. The first time, now I have location disabled on my phone. I can enable it from here or from the settings. Okay, and now it's loading. What's happening? Anyone can tell me what's happening here? I don't have a location, so I need to complete the demo. Just going here and opening the location maker. So let me look for Valladolid, my born city in Spain. Okay, I have internet connection. Let me check it again. I'm going to try this one again. Here. Let's go to refresh it. Well, in the meantime, with this tool, you can just have the map on the screen. And you can just place some push pins there. And once you are just placing a push pin on the screen, it's raising an event in your phone that is the position change event, and it's sending you the new location there. Look at that, it's totally dead, right? Let me try it again. It's hot because the Wi-Fi. This one more time. Have internet connection. No, I don't have internet connection. Yeah, now I have internet connection. So repeat again the process. I'm going to just open the emulator here. There is latitude there, the location. Now it's working. Okay, this is my born city. I can try to look for my house. It's here. And now I have here that and one for this app. So I just click there. I can also click here. I can remove live and I can play this every second. Okay, and I can click the button. When I click this button, you can see that it's getting different locations depending on the specific location I have in that moment. Okay, you can save as well these views here. And once you are getting these views, it's not getting the location. Let me try it again. Sorry, my fault. work because I'm getting the coordinates before that. So it's the, let's go to try with these ones, okay? Just here. Let me explain you why. 41, 65, and here 64. I was working, but the thing is I didn't set up the Zoom. So I'm there immediately. Okay, so the thing is with the map, you have the center, and you have also the zoom level for 10. And also, if you want to look for a specific thing, like for example the search term hotel, here. Okay, this way. You can run application again. Click on the button. Now results with hotel. These are very small cities. Let's try with, for example, Kuwait. Okay, I can look for Kuwait. Okay, and get one of these. This one. This is 29. Sorry. Right. I want to do this manually because I'm going to use now the automatic mode for other thing, but so to see you have context here. Okay, so you have the hotels here, loading. You can click one of these hotels and click there, enable location, and you will obtain the about where this is, the how to drive to there with Nokia Drive, for example, the neighborhood, other related applications for the hotels, and the about. The minutes? Okay. So just to finish the demo, I'll show you how to do this interactive. In the geolocator, here, you have the position change and the status change. In the position change, plus equal, that. Here I'm going just to change the location on the map. Okay, this is the task that I'm using there. But now I'm going to use just this map I have here. It's called map. And here is map dot center equal, and it's I need the geoposition copies there. Okay, this is a new geocoordinate that unlock. This is my geoposition dot coordinate dot latitude and longitude. Okay, so click here, run this again. So I just click here. Sorry, don't have any position yet, so let me just try this. Okay, I'm on it again. So now what I'm going to do is just to change my location to different positions. Okay, just click here on the button. And now on the emulator here, I can just click here. Creating the event, it's registering the event. There is an essential why because I don't have any position on the map yet. Sorry about that. Usually it's working, but I don't know why it's not working today. Just activate this. Now the event is registered. And if I change the location, the mouse will change to another position. Or at least change just set the position change event. Sorry, what did I do again? It's working here, but it's not working on my application. I don't know why. Sorry, I don't know why. But if you just the different location from here, you will find a location there on the emulator, and also it will change your location all the time. And now because the position change event is going to raise on your device all the time, every time you change your location. In for example, every 20 meters or every second. Yeah, it's working, but in the launcher, I don't know why it's not working in my map. Maybe they miss the. I want to work with my map here. I don't know why it's not working. Anyway, sorry again about that. If you want to use other tasks, like for example, in this case I'm using the map task, but what about if you want to use Microsoft.phone.tasks.map direction tasks? Here, let's use what you can do is to sterilize the origin point and the ending point of that. Let's start equal a new And here you can use here build level map location using, for example, my home and the coordinates for that. And the other is directions.end, and this and the same there. For example, what here? Let me just very quickly copy this. Here, for example, here is my work. This is a new geo coordinate, so I can use this one. And to use another one here, I need to use in this case not work but home. And here is directions.
मेरा फोन लगा
Okay.
उधर तो कोई नहीं था हेडफोन यस
Just this these lines of code you have here on the bottom. Just create the direction class here, stabilize the ending and the starting point for that, and just show it on the screen. It's one last demo, please. Just click on the button. Now the code is cleaner. So you can just open from inside your application, you can find directions. Just two normal directions here. I don't want to spend time on this because I want to show you one last demo before go. So what you will obtain on this in this case. Okay, and the last demo that I want to show you today, sorry about the delay with the inconvenience of the demos, it's the speech API demos. The speech API demos. So close out of this. The first demo I want to show you just is a demo where you can just use the synthesizer to synthesize voice in 15 different languages. In 15 different languages. So I'm going to open this with Visual Studio. I want to use as well my microphone and also the speakers to help you to listen to what's happening there. Okay, it's working right. Perfect. So this application is a very easy app. It's just using the synthesizer. The synthesizer is just this only line of code. It's synth.speakTextAsync, and the text you want to use there. And this is the object that you are using from the class speech synthesizer. Everything is on the slides, so you can just follow the slides after the session and read what's inside the speech synthesis API. Okay, it's just only one line of code here to use the speech synthesizer. Let me just show you this here. Take the picture. And play the application. Play the application in the emulator. When you click, for example, in I like Kuwait, you put this bigger.
I like Kuwait.
I like Kuwait. I like Kuwait.
I like Kuwait. I like Kuwait.
I like Kuwait. I like Kuwait.
You like Kuwait. You like Kuwait.
You can listen the I like Kuwait sentence, but with different people from different countries and different places as well.
I like Kuwait. I like Kuwait.
Italian,
You
you will recognize Japanese.
like Kuwait.
I like Kuwait.
Okay, so sadly by now we don't have Arab. Okay, Arabic is not supported yet, only 50 languages, but Arabic is not one of them. For the synthesizer.
I like Kuwait. I like Kuwait.
I like Kuwait.
I like Kuwait.
I like
Okay, finish it,
Kuwait.
please.
I like Kuwait.
Thank you.
I like Kuwait.
Okay. That's all. Also, you can speak in Spanish
Hola a todos. Encantado de conoceros.
or in French.
Salut à tous, enchanté.
So, if you are just using sentences in English and you use the voices in English, the pronunciation is perfect. If you use that in Spanish and Spanish, well, it's the same. Okay, don't try to do opposite with different localizations in this case. This is for a synthesizer. It's a text to speech. But for speech to text, I have the last demo of the session. Because by default, every Windows Phone device, when you press the start button for 3 seconds, you have the voice commands. What can I say? And you can say several things. You can interact with your voice, you can send SMS, you can receive an SMS and release an SMS. You can interact with your voice in so many kind of ways. But now, here as well, I will have a list of applications that can recognize my voice. I want to run this app that is going to use voice recognition. Another regulator. Here. And I leave my, by the way, my microphone. Okay, it's working. It's sorry about that. Okay, working. So this is an application with nothing inside. Okay, but I just run the application. The application is installed, and if I click here again for 3 seconds, I can go to help, and I can see that they have this application installed here. And this application has some different commands that can activate this app. So I can go here and say, I can say fortune teller. This is a fortune teller application. And I can say, fortune teller, will I find money? Will I find love? Give me help, tell me a joke. So I have several commands there that I created in an XML file. So I can say, for example, fortune teller, will I find love?
Showing love.
Okay, and it will open the application just in the page you designed for this command voice. But let me try with another command. Fortune teller, where is the doomsday?
Calculating the day for the end of the world. The doomsday was on December, so something was wrong with Mayans. Let's try tomorrow again.
Okay, so you can play with different commands there. I have several jobs here, but in the end, the most important is to create the voice command dictionary. The voice command dictionary. Here you will specify the prefix. This is a template that you can fill there, okay? You specify the prefix, the example that you will see on the screen. And the listen for here, for example, future money or future love is optional. So there you have different words to fill this gap. I feel I find future love is in the end. Will I find sweet hair? Will I find love? Will I find romance? So you can create different inputs for that. And specify as well the page that you are going to open in your application. And also you can use parameters there as well. But if you go to the main page here, just in the event that is using the on-navigating to event on the system, just as when I'm opening this application and navigating to this page, I can capture this command. Okay, this command is linked directly with this dictionary. And just in a switch case, I can just use the synthesizer with some text to say, and that's all. Okay, but it's already implemented there. And the last feature that you can add to this is that you have also free speech. Okay, inside your app, you can recognize your voice, what you are telling to the phone, and with your voice you can play with that, or just type what you are doing, like dictation. Okay, this is text to speech, a speech for commanding, and a speech to text with free speech as well. These three options are the APIs you have enabled as developers on Windows Phone devices. So sorry about the hurry, everything is here on the slides. You can download the slides after the session. You can see as well everything related with maps, the example about how to use the map control, the pedestrian rules, the 3D models, how to use the different map tasks, okay, the map downloaded task, and other launchers. And in the speech API, I have as well here the code you need to create these demos and the voice command demo. Okay, step by step. Well, so I'm sorry about that, but we need to finish the session here. So I hope to enjoy these 5 sessions. I know that there were several sessions only for one day and only for one speaker, so thank you for staying with me the whole day, even if I am losing my voice. And I hope to see you in the next training we have. So I recommend you seriously to go to the resources we have online, to have online training, to have presential training, to attend to the next training we have in not only in Kuwait but in other countries as well. And for that, maybe the main resource for you is to go to the Facebook page we created in November last year, where we are reaching all the developers we have in Gulf region, and you can stay in touch with all of them, okay, and work together with them. You can just go there and ask for help. Ask for devices in case you have an application and want this application with a device and you don't have. In no case can be asked on that to provide you a device for a period of time to test your application there as well. And to find everything you need, just go to Facebook and here look for one Facebook group called Windows 8 Warriors, or the web page of Windows 8 Warriors. Because there you can find not only me, but also other developers, resources, trainings, HANA labs, workshops. Whatever you need is there, or otherwise you can contact me there and I can provide these materials to you. So thank you everyone for coming today to the open door, and I hope to see you in the next trainings. Thank you.